Hey, it's Lisa DeBoer from Pedi-Ed-Trics. I'm here with a Gimme 5 on Friday, and we're in a very unusual place. We are at a graduation party where there is a tattoo artist present, but not just doing tattoos for the adults that want to commemorate today, also for the kids. And so on set today, I actually have our niece Harper. You may recognize her from our Gimme 5s in the past when she was little, as well as our in seconds. Harper is one of our little superstars, and she's getting a temporary tattoo today, as well as her friend Gabby, who is on the set. Say hi over there, guys.
Hello.
Okay. And then we have Martin, our tattoo expert, as well as Scott DeBoer, and he, of course, is going to be talking about tattoos. So with that, Scott and Martin, take it away.
First time ever at a graduation party that I've seen a professional tattoo artist. Now, from personal experience, simply for those of you that know me, pain not in my dojo. Meaning, you know what, a permanent tattoo is not going to happen. But when they gave me the opportunity to go ahead and get a temporary tattoo of Bride and Frank, of course, I could not resist. So what we really want to focus on in this Gimme 5 was the idea of temporary tattoos in kids. And interestingly, these have come a really long way over the years, whereas for these that we had placed, or with Harper and Gabby, who had theirs placed this afternoon as well, they actually were able to go ahead and sketch out or take a picture onto an iPad, print it out onto a gel sheet off a printer, and go ahead with the ink and literally just go ahead and place it on your arm. Unbelievably cool and non-painful. However, what's interesting is when it comes to outside of this setting, temporary tattoos in kids, that comes into play if you go to a fair or some amusement parks, where, as some of y'all remember, they had these kiosks that would describe someone as getting a, quote, henna tattoo. That's a big deal, especially in kids. And the rationale is a couple-fold. Number one, henna is actually brown. That's important because when you think about these temporary kiosks offering henna tattoos, they are black. That's a big deal. And why that's a big deal is the way that they actually make this product become black is something called PPD. And PPD is a chemical that can be placed in there, and it serves two purposes. Number one, it makes it black. And number two, from the artist's perspective at that moment, it makes it dry faster. So that's great, not so much. The problem is, if you look at the FDA, etc., the PPD, otherwise known as the stuff to make it turn black, is actually approved for hair dye. It's not approved for use on the skin. And why that's such a huge deal is simple. You can have an allergic reaction. And when you look at kids, you can have anything from a couple days later, whereas they start to get a little itchy, something of that sort. And you put on some cortisone, put on some Benadryl cream, etc. However, at the other extreme is they've actually had case reports of children who a couple days to a week or two later had full-on anaphylaxis to the point that they were sick as a dog with airway edema, hypotension, etc. related to PPD. That's a big deal. So it's not approved for use on the skin, and reputable agencies that will do these tattoos do not use PPD because it's not meant to go on your skin. But if indeed you've got a kid who shows up either in the ambulance or the ER and they're like, yeah, last week I was at the Renaissance Fair and I had this temporary henna tattoo done, and you look at their skin and it looks downright unhappy, chances are that was the culprit. Now, finish that up. Number one, you can have really icky allergic reactions. And many times, if you talk to dermatology, if you give them XYZ drug for X number of days, it chances are is going to heal. However, they've actually had case reports of people whereas it didn't heal. Meaning that you started off with dark skin, now you have permanent depigmentation, meaning you don't have light areas in the shape of the tattoo. And number two is they've had people that almost have scarring / keloids in regards to post-PPD, quote, henna tattoos. So the moral of the story is simply the more you know. And just like having a professional tattoo done, go to someone who actually does it for a living, who very appropriately and safely is going to do what needs to be done. But if you're a parent and you've got a little kid who wants to, quote, get a temporary tattoo, especially if it's one that's listed as a, quote, henna tattoo, it's not henna. The chance of having an allergic reaction or worse is really remarkably high. And in the famous words of Nancy Reagan back in the day, just say no.
See you next time for Give Me 5 on Friday.
Friend.